How are you?
Is the amendments going to be in the omnibus bill, the chapter amendments to
There's no omnibus bill. I don't know what omnibus bill you're talking about.
with tax, rent, and
Well, there's a housing bill, an affordable housing bill that includes both tax cap and rent, affordability for homeowners, and that's it.
Shelly, do you have amendments to the gay marriage bill?
I do not.
Are you going to do those today?
We do not have a final amendment, so I can't tell you.
How soon do you expect to vote on marriage and on same-sex on property taxes and rent?
Hopefully sometime late afternoon or evening.
what were you talking about with the governor just now?
General process of how we conclude this session and making advances and finalizing all of the bills.
Speaker, is the
Excuse-
SUNY tuition hike included in that housing bill, or is that going to be
No, it's a separate bill.
And when will that be done, sir?
Sometime today.
Are there any major changes to the rent law bill that you're contemplating from what was announced a couple days ago as
No.
a framework deal?
No,
Do you plan to be done with everything by today?
I would hope so. I would hope so.
Decided to pass the gay marriage bill?
I have no Senate expectations at all.
Well, you're a student of this place, but do you think they're going to do it?
I'd rather not comment on that.
But I compliment.
Speaker, so all the bills are separate. There is not an omnibus bill. There's not a quote unquote big ugly.
No. Nothing's
Separate bills.
nothing's ugly about what we're doing.
Separate bills for each of the major pieces.
Well, rent, tax cap, and mandate all deal with affordability of homes, upstate, downstate, and that's the only
That's one piece
that's
of
the
legislation.
only piece of legislation.
Is there any discussion of whether
CUNY is separate.
Would any chapter amendments to the gay marriage bill your House passed, is there any chance you would include those in a different piece of legislation, kind of bundled together? Or is that,
That
if those
would-
were done, would
those-
that be separate? A separate vote?
Should be separate because it would cross. Wouldn't be passage.
If the
Speaker.
Senate does not bring the marriage bill to the floor, would you consider that an injustice?
Obviously, I wouldn't agree with that position, but I think they're wrong in not doing it. But you know, I'm not a judge. I mean, I can't penalize them for it.
Do you think that they're going to withhold it?
I have no idea what they're going to do. I would suggest they're probably in conference right now on that bill, and you know, the best news would be when that door opens, you'll be out there.
Mr. Speaker, can you tell us about some of the items for mandate relief that are going to be in that affordable housing bill?
They are not signed off totally yet, and I would rather you wait till there's an overall deal
So
on that.
there's not one
There's-
thing on
there's-
which there's a three-way agreement?
There are several things, but nothing is ever complete until everything's
What
complete.
is ready to be voted on?
Well, we're voting on health exchange, creating the health care exchange pursuant to the federal bill. We are voting on the ratification, subject to the voting ratification on the CSEA agreement that was made between CSEA and the governor.
What about SUNY?
Those are live. Those, I think there's one sentence of language in SUNY when I left upstairs 2 hours ago that still needed clarification, and I think we gave it some clarification here.
Is there any holdup on the rent or property tax
me?
elements? Is there any holdup on the rent or property tax cap elements of the bill, or is it just the mandate relief that's stalling this?
Well, there's mandate relief, and there's language on some of the other bills.
We have a new governor, we have a new Senate Majority Leader. As this session winds down, how do you characterize your experience working with them through the session?
Well, I think we've had a great governor providing leadership, getting things done on a timely fashion. That would be the way I characterize it.
And Senator Skelos?
Senate, I don't, I only have interaction when it comes to joint meetings. We're doing our job. We're getting things done.
Shelly, what's the sunset on rent and tax cap?
It's 5 years. That's part of the language discussion that's taking place right now.
Speaker, we're having a great deal of difficulty hearing you back here. Did you indicate earlier that you thought you were heading toward resolving this tonight,
Yes.
including marriage equality?
I don't have anything to resolve on marriage equality except a chapter amendment if the Senate does it. So we can do that tonight.
Sir, are you going to hold off on doing that chapter amendment until the Senate votes?
It's up to my conference
When do you plan to discuss that with the conference?
after I know what the Senate plans on doing generally on the whole issue.
Do you have a copy of the chapter amendment?
We have seen a copy. We don't have it. It's not a final signed off copy.
Could you describe what it contains?
It contains religious protections for religious organizations.
What kind of religious organizations?
Religious organizations, period.
But the original bill also had those kinds of protections.
Correct.
What's different in the modified?
It reinforces it a little better.
Does it say if
That's
the
it.
marriage bill, if the discrimination gets thrown out by a Supreme Court, that the marriage bill would also get thrown out?
I don't know, honestly. I don't know.
Sir, would you say that most of the issues between the Senate and the Assembly, aside from the marriage equality, they're pretty much settled, all the haggling?
They are settled. There's still drafting that's taking place, but we know where we want to go. I can say to you, if you want to go to California from here, we agree we're going. I may take a different airline than you will.